Andrew Yang, our next president of the United States. No, we don't.
Exactly as you are, which is a group of beautiful human beings. Am I right?
Yeah!
I gotta say, Chicago is so gang gang.
I know I
am. Really? This is one of the first places when we did the Humanity First tour back in 2018 that we got a crowd of hundreds for the first time. And I owe you a personal debt because my wife was there. And she was like, wow, what a big group. I was like, oh yeah, all the events are like this. But thanks to you all in 2018, spreading the word, we have grown and grown and grown. And I stand before you tonight, number 5 in the race.
Andrew Yang! Andrew Yang! Andrew Yang! Andrew Yang!
Yes, Chicago! And we sure know who got us to this point. It was not the media companies.
Hell no.
It was not the folks in D.C. who were planning years in advance. It was us, it was you, it was the people of this country. The people of America are a sleeping giant, but they are waking up. We are waking up. We realize that the folks in D.C. succeed whether we succeed or fail. We've woken up to the fact that the feedback mechanism between our government and the people is breaking down. We can see it in our communities. We can see it in the fact that our media treats Donald Trump as if he's the cause of all of our problems, and we know that he's not. We know that our problems preceded Donald Trump, and the way we're going to get that man out of office is if we start focusing on the real problems, solve them, and give this country a new way forward. Thanks to people just like you, we raised $10 million last quarter in increments. So my fans are almost as cheap as Bernie's. Well, there are a lot of you. I love you for it. I was with Bernie. Last debate in Atlanta, I went to Bernie and I said to him, hey Bernie, so Bernie told a journalist he liked me. And I was really touched. I was like, Bernie likes me? Because I've been around him like a dozen times and you actually can't tell if he likes you most of the time.
Because he never says it.
So I said to him, I was like, hey Bernie, thank you for saying that nice thing to the journalist. And he puts his arm around me and says, of course I like you, Andrew. You're bringing a lot of good ideas to the table. It was so touching. I felt like my benevolent uncle had knighted me. So just like Bernie, we're taking zero corporate PAC money. This is all a campaign of the people. It's going to be up to us to get a hold of the government and start rewriting the rules of the 21st century economy to start working for people and families. Yeah!
Yeah!
I love this guy.
Love you, brother.
Real Captain America, and he can do some sick breakdancing. I'm actually going to put the spot on him.
Breakdance for Yang.
Here's something.
Breakdance for Yang. Oh! Oh! Break it. Yo, yo. Yo. Oh! Yeah. 2020. Yeah. Breakdance for Yang.
Oh, thank you. That was incredible, though.
Breakdance 2020.
I gotta say, the American people, the sleeping giant, we're waking up. And now the media is looking up and saying, wait a minute, how did that guy go from total anonymity to number 5 with a giant red arrow attached? Because we are going up and up. We raised $10 million last quarter. I'm gonna break some news for you. We are gonna beat that by a mile this quarter. Now the $10 million was like an earthquake in political circles. They were like, what? What just happened? Oh, they're gonna love what we do in the fourth quarter, Yang. I was talking backstage, and there's a saying that I love so much, is that amateurs talk about strategy. What do professionals talk about? Logistics. That's right. Military folks know exactly what I'm talking about. The vision that has gotten us to this point is knowing that we can build a trickle-up economy from our people, our families, and our communities up. The first time you heard about me and the Freedom Dividend, you said, wow, $1,000 a month? That sounds literally too good to be true. But this is not my idea, and it's not a new idea. Thomas Paine was for this at the founding of the country.
Yep.
Martin Luther King fought for and championed this in the 1960s, a guaranteed minimum income for all Americans. It is what he was fighting for when he was assassinated in 1968.
Damn true.
Milton Friedman and 1,000 economists endorsed it in the 60s. It's people from both sides of the aisle.
Alaska.
Nixon endorsed the plan. It's true. You're going to keep on. Elon Musk, am I right? So this is not a new idea, and it's not my idea. This idea has been with us for decades. And we know after we get the dividend into our hands, how are we going to spend it?
Getting out of my toxic environment.
We're going to spend it
Starting a business.
on the things we spend money
Be a
on
service
right
dog.
now. Bicycles. I like that.
Moving.
Bicycles.
Moving.
Daycare expenses. Student loan payments.
Moving.
The occasional night out. It's going to go through our communities. Actually, go ahead and shout something else out. It's true.
Content creator. YouTube.
So I hear beer, hot dogs, wings. These are very Chicago answers. I gotta say, you all are really fired up because you decided to pass up a Bears game for this rally. So thank you on that.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I don't even like the Bears.
And I'm gonna say something really rough. Unlike the Bears tonight, this gang is gonna win.
Don't tell me that's a deciding factor.
So the money in our
Deal
hands is
breaker.
going to go right to the things that are going to make us stronger, healthier, mentally healthier, less stressed out, improve our relationships, improve our way of life. I had the privilege of meeting with Martin Luther King III after the last debate in Atlanta. And he sat with me and he said that this is his dad's vision of an economic foundation for everyone. Can you imagine calling Martin Luther King dad?
Aww.
When he said it, I was like, huh.
Dad
And I
for
was
Yang.
like, well, your name is Martin Luther King III, so that makes perfect sense. And you just be like, Dad said this, Dad said that.
Junior for Yang.
And I was talking to my wife about the fact that Martin Luther King championed this. You could almost say he died for it in the 60s. And she said, why is it that something that was so mainstream in the 60s, 1,000 economists, including Milton Friedman, endorsed it. It passed the U.S. House of Representatives in 1971. came this close to being law. She said, what the heck has happened to us in the last 50 years where it's front and center in political discourse, past the US House, everyone is for it, to now it seems far out, too good to be true, fantastic. What the heck happened to us over the last 50 years?
Baby for Yank.
What happened to us is that we were collectively brainwashed to believe that economic value and human value were the same things. In Chicago, this brainwashing starts really early. The SAT was originated in World War II as a means to identify which kids we did not want to send to the front lines. Now we use it every year on our kids like every year is wartime. We're already pummeling people to think that there is this rat race and that if you fail, it's on you. If you succeed, it's because you were hardworking and meritocratic and the rest of it. In Chicago, I call bullshit.
Yes!
Economic value and human value are not the same things. The SAT is a completely nonsensical value of human worth or character or certainly virtue. We need to put our kids in position to go to school and not feel like they're little robots on an assembly line getting primed for the standardized test. We need to start recognizing that our value is independent of the market, is intrinsic. This was commonplace in the 60s where people would argue from this vantage point of humanity, but we lost it along the way. We've all fallen prey to the almighty market, the big M market, and I'm gonna confess, I'm guilty of it to this day, all the time. When you think about a lot of the language we use, a lot of it is about building our personal brand and like embrace the hustle. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's all of this stuff around, like, oh yeah, you're gonna go out there. Like, the dark part is a lot of this language is seducing us to thinking again that everything we achieve is individually ours, and that if we're not achieving, it's on us. And I've looked at the numbers. The fact is, the economy is turning on us more and more. 78% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah!
Almost half of us can't afford an unexpected $500 bill.
Yes!
94% of the new jobs created in this economy are temp, gig, or contract jobs. They did a good job priming you and your excellent listeners. I love it so much. So this economy is now becoming increasingly punitive and even inhuman. It's turning us against each other. It's what got Donald Trump elected in 2016. The fact that we blasted away 4 million manufacturing jobs that were primarily based in Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania,
Chicago,
Wisconsin, Missouri, Iowa, all these swing states that needed to win and did win. That's why he's our president today. And unfortunately, we're about to do the same thing to retail jobs. Why are all the stores closing in Chicago?
Amazon!
That's right. How much did Amazon pay in federal taxes last year?
0!
What do we think of that?
I call bullshit! Bullshit!
We're like, I'm gonna shout something. It's gonna be bad.
For Yank.
You're not gonna believe it, Chicago, but it is up to us, it is up to you to make sure that Amazon doesn't pay 0 in taxes anymore.
Yeah! Texas for Yank.
Amazon soaking up $20 billion in business every year, paying 0 in taxes. And I say that this is not going to work for us. If we get our fair share of every Amazon sale, every Google search, every Facebook ad, every robot truck mile, we can generate hundreds of billions of dollars, put the money into our hands. A little bit of it would float up to the cloud anyway. You might get your own Netflix passwords instead of sharing it. But most of the money stays right here in our communities where we can start to rebuild from the ground up and start solving the problems that got Trump elected. How does it sound to you? So this is the vision that gets a man from total anonymity to number 5 in the polls. And the question is, how people against the money every day of the week, am I right? So what other campaigns with nothing but money are doing is they are going and saying, how are we going to get signatures to get on the ballot in Illinois, Vermont, Mississippi? And you know what they're doing? They're paying a truck ton of people to stand there and get those signatures, but we think we have something better. We think we have the gang and the power of the people to make this happen. Am I right? It is one thing to want it, it is another thing to work for it. All of the value is in the last mile. If you stop short of the last mile, you never hit your goal. And in this case, getting those signatures is the last mile. Everything I've built has been about the last mile, and this one is no different. Who is with me on covering this last mile? So don't leave without signing that thing. Don't leave without grabbing a packet. If you can get some signatures, and if you do email Gail and she invites you into Slack, how many of you are on the Slack channel, the volunteers? If you join Slack, oh my gosh, it's like this whole parallel digital universe of hundreds, thousands of yang-gangers all around the country. It's like keys to a castle. You go in, you can see everything. You see all of the yang-gang around the country. Some of the most brilliant, creative, passionate, idealistic people on earth.
Network for Yang. Yes.
Seriously, if you email Gail, she sends you an invitation to Slack, you get it, you'll be like, oh my gosh. You'll be like in this whole other world, and it's just that easy. And the easiest way to stay on the edge of where we're going as a campaign is to be there and make it happen in that last mile. What do you think? Yeah! So I've got something else for you guys to do that you're uniquely able to do. We are 3 hours or so from a magical land called Iowa. How many of you have friends in Iowa? So this is again about the last mile logistics of making this vision of a human-centered economy and rewriting the rules to work for us. I've done the math, Chicago. In every organization, in every endeavor, in every revolution, there are a number of key variables that you have to hit. If you hit them, you win. If you don't, you lose. In this case, it's going to be how many Iowans get out and caucus on February 3rd. It's going to be a cold and blustery night. And here's I'm pretty confident it's going to be cold and blustery. But here's the wild thing, is that if you look up, you would imagine that it would take hundreds of thousands of people going out that night to change the course of history. The actual number is a lot smaller than that. I haven't done this in a while. I want to have some fun with it. Why not? Let's have some fun. All right. There are approximately 3 million Iowans in the state of Iowa. What percent of Iowans do you think participated in the last caucus in 2016? It was about 5.7%.
He is good now.
Yeah. So let's say you have, for the sake of argument, 5 major candidates that are making a run, and the number of voters goes up a little bit to, let's call it 200,000 from 170,000 last time. How many Iowans do we need to embrace the vision of a human-centered economy to win and make history in Iowa?
30,000.
Let's call it
100 Californians.
30, 40, 50,000 Iowans. If you get 50,000, you may win the whole thing. And I want you to imagine the headline. That's not that large a number. I want you to imagine the headlines on February 4th. It's going to be very hard to omit me from the graphics then.
NBC needs to get automated. Andrew Yang! Andrew Yang! He's turning up the Yang!
I want you to imagine them trying to explain the result.
Automate MSNBC.
Well, they'll say, Andrew Yang just beat out some of the people who've been sent. I mean, I've already beaten, how many? Half a dozen? That if we make that leaderboard, it is going to be this massive shock, not just to the political system, but the entire country. Those are the headlines that those are the headlines that you can generate on February 4th if we are willing to work our hearts out over the next 2 months. What do you think, Chicago?
Yeah! Yeah!
50,000 Iowans is what stands between us and eradicating poverty. 50,000 Iowans is what stands between us and a better way of life for ourselves and our children. 50,000 Iowans is what's keeping us from being able to look our kids in the eyes and say, and believe it, your country loves you, your country values you, and you are going to be all right. I want to be able to say that to my kids.
First.
There are about 1,500. What's the fire code in here? I'm going to say there are about 1,500 people here tonight. Really, look around you. It's an incredible group.
Wait, that many?
I want you to imagine.
Holy crap!
If 1,500 people decided to drive 3 hours, cross state lines, go to a place like Davenport, knock on some doors, and I'll tell you, the Iowans look up, and people listen to other people first and foremost. Yeah, you know, if you show up, humanity first.
Yeah.
If you show up human to human,
automate the haters.
Say to them, hey, have you checked out Andrew Yang? Have you seen his vision for the country? They're going to love talking to you. And when you talk to them and you see the light bulb go off, you walk away and think, 1 down, 49,999.
Yeah! The Mac is back.
It's staggering if you think about it. And this is not on you because we've got a lot of air support. We've got a ground game. I'm spending all next week in Iowa on a bus with my lovely wife, Evelyn. We're going to go from town to town.
Evelyn, 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 Evelyn.
We all know Evelyn's good for about 25,000 votes on her own. She needs to get the other 25. But if you imagine the scale of this, if everyone here, 1,500 people here, got 30 Iowans to vote for Yang, we eradicate poverty. Just think about it on that scale. But don't worry, it's not about you getting 30 Iowans because we've got a multi-million-dollar ad campaign, we've got boots on the ground, we've got Yang in his bus, we've got his superhero wife, we've got bowling alley parties, we've got
Fred the Felon.
Stuff heading to Iowa to move history, to move this country, to move humanity forward on February 3rd, but we cannot do it without you. Are we going to get your help, Chicago?
Hell yes!
You can make it happen here in Illinois. You can email gail@yang2020.com and get the digital keys to the castle. You can help activate the people.
We're the wave of the Windy City.
Know that it's not left, it's not right, it's
forward!
That is where we are going to take the country in 2020.
Bring the wave!
Thank you,